Yo,
Yo.
brethren.
Yeah, that was crazy. I didn't know I had to update that.
Yeah, bro. They were saying you got to check in.
Yeah, they want to put all the extra taps on my phone.
Well, yeah,
That's
you've
just
been.
that's just the way they get you.
I'm about to say, you've been battling anyway. So it's kind of like
I've been going through it with Instagram over the past couple
that's why I
weeks.
was like,
Man.
your war is pretty. Your concerns is pretty legit
Yeah,
as far
crazy.
as
It's crazy.
your view
What's
for
happening with you
Instagram.
though?
I'm good, brother.
Yeah,
It's happy
yeah.
2021. You know what I'm saying? In March.
How you gonna be this $1 billion app with no customer service? Like, it just makes no sense to me. I mean, it makes no sense. You're $1 billion global app that everybody uses, but you have no
Everybody
customer
uses,
service.
but it's not okay. Yeah, right,
Not,
right.
not even one not even one receptionist that answers the phone. It's crazy.
well,
It's
well,
crazy.
well, well. First of all, man, let's talk about the obvious, bro. I'm checking out the studio on the wall, man. It looks dope, man.
Oh, thank you. It's my little wall of fame, I guess you put it like that. A lot of artists that I've, connected with and, came in contact with over the years of my career. Just a little reminder, puts me in my creative space.
How is the studio doing? Like, how is it coming together? When can we
Oh, the
get the when
studio's
can we get the
great.
virtual tour?
We do the virtual tour. We'll do it next time. We'll do it next time.
Okay, okay, but it's coming together good.
Oh, it's coming together great. It's basically, it's just about done. I just got to put the door on the wall. That's it. Just got to add the door.
I thought this would be a good time for us to come back because me and you, people may think, but you and I talk all the time. We just been busy, you know what I'm saying? So it's
Hmm.
like I thought this would be a good one to kind of come in and talk about ourselves a little bit about like what we've been doing because we spend so much time talking about everything else, but we got a lot going on that we kind of need to like kind of get into. But let's start with the obvious first with you. How you feel getting out of Instagram jail and how that happened? Just like, can you explain like how that happened, please?
Well, it was a crazy thing. I woke up one day, I got a message, and I was gonna put this out there too on a different platform. Well, I was gonna put this out there as well, but yeah, my page, I got reported by somebody, that I was pretending to be somebody else, not being myself. So I knew what that was. So of course the powers that be, I had to call on the big dogs, call Intercom, the radio station. They called which one? They called Instagram. I had to get corporations to call Instagram because they're $1 billion company without a customer service branch. So, but yeah, so I took like 2 weeks, but if I finally got my account back after they proved that I only want to be me because it's nobody else that I would want to be. I mean, come on, man. Come on, man. And I know what it was. Somebody was trying to get my username and it didn't work. But I mean, if they really want it, let's just do a charity fight for it. Let's do a charity fight. We can donate the proceeds. We can donate the proceeds to Texas. We can do however. Loser changes his name. Yeah, we can do that. We can do it. We can do a charity boxing match. Well, we can do MMA too if they want.
So
I mean,
is it okay to talk about the obvious? Is it okay to mention the obvious? Or you wanted to save that? Like, it's okay to mention the obvious?
you can mention the obvious.
Okay, so we're talking about academics.
Correct.
Okay, cool. So you may feel or because of parties that be that academics had a problem with your name.
I can't say that he actually did it because I don't have that proof. But it had to come from somewhere. So I would assume that that's what as an educated guess that's where it came from.
Okay.
And if that's the issue, and if he wants to go head to head for it, hey, let's just make it fun and make it a good PR thing for everybody. He loves that type of stuff. So hey, I'm not a gangster, so he can't play the Meek Mill card. I'm not a gangster, so. I'm a family guy and a DJ, a real DJ. I'm actually in the community, helping out the kids, helping out businesses, helping out everyday people. He's in his room. I'm actually going to schools. He's in his room. I'm actually in the clubs. He's in his room. I'm actually DJ that's actually DJing, and you know he's in his room. But if he wants to battle for the name, I mean, hey, let's just make it fun. Let's do a charity boxing match. We can do a charity MMA match. We can even do a charity DJ battle if you want. Loser changes his name. Wow, and all the proceeds can go to Texas. It can go anywhere you want, any foundation or whatever.
That's interesting that we tap on that, because this is an interesting place, and it kind
Yeah,
of.
this is the first time I've actually said dude's name.
No, that's fine.
Ever.
But here's where timing is everything, right? Have you been watching the documentary Hip Hop Uncovered?
Yes.
Amazing documentary. So you know it has Detroit's own Trick on there, and
Correct.
once upon a time, Trick and Trick Daddy had an issue over their name.
Correct.
And at that time, Trick Daddy was top of the charts. You know, he was more known. But Trick, if you from Detroit, have been around since forever. So it's kind of like, who's to say who had what name first, and what is he supposed to do with his name?
Well, I definitely had the name first. That's not even a question. I've been DJ Academic since the year 2000. That's documented, and that's since MySpace. I've been DJ Academics, and that's why I have the usernames, because I was Academics first. I've been in radio for 10 years under that name, so it's documented. And I have copyrights and DBAs and LLC and not LLC, sole proprietorships, which is a totally different thing.
It is. So
under the name.
That's what I said. I guess my question is, and especially since the culture has become so big, is there a place for two people to have the same names and for people to distinguish both of them? Like, can they separate the two, or does it have to be someone have to give it a name? Just a question.
Well, I mean, there was two Dr. Dre's.
I agree.
I mean, one was, they're two totally different calibers of Dr. Dre's. But I mean, Dr. Dre producer and Beats by Dre is a whole different person. But Dr. Dre was successful in his own right as well. So Ed Love and Dr. Dre.
I'm about to say Ed Love. Yeah, I'm about to say not even Beats by Dre, but Ed Love and Dr. Dre. Yeah.
Yeah, he was still successful in his own right. He had a long career. He was on MTV. He hosted a lot of parties. He did radio for a long time. He was very successful in his own right. And although I understand that he's the he may be the academics that more people know, but I mean I'm the academics that more people respect. So and that's just how I feel about that. And I mean we can coexist. I mean I've been coexisting with it since then, because I believe in the people that know. The people that need to know.
Mm-hmm. So it was only probably like an issue when your IG account and all that other stuff put you in jail.
Yeah.
That was the only time it really became an issue for you. Besides, I mean, even since I've known you, you never had an issue over there with dude. Mm-hmm. Like you even privately, like you was like, I'm just gonna keep on going, But I guess it's now become an issue because now somebody's actually trying to stop you.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Okay. Well, I mean, that's interesting. I mean, I think a DJ battle would probably be better, because I don't see no physical fight happening just because. No.
But I mean, charity boxing. That's the trend there. That's the trend now. That's the trend now. That would be fun. It would be fun. And I think everybody would want to see it. Everybody definitely want to see that. That would be great. I'm all for it. Sign me up. Call Floyd. Call Meek. Everybody get the promoting and let's get it going.
He has no reason to do that. He's not going to do that. Not for what I see of him. He's not going to do that. Not that.
Mm-hmm.
Not that. That's not going to happen. Might go back and forth with you on Shade Room or something like that, but I don't see no charity boxing match. I just don't see it. Well, yeah, it's interesting, man. But I'm glad. Listen, the celebration is. I'm glad that you out. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad that you back out and all this stuff.
Yeah, it's authentic, King. Will always stand the test of whatever you put it up against when it's authentic.
There's also, too, man, go to show you that a lot of times people be thinking that when somebody is on the other side, they think that they're alone, and I think maybe if somebody did their research, they would have known that you don't come alone either. You've been in this business for a long time either. You weren't just somebody who was sitting in your room. Mm-hmm. You know what you're doing. So I think it would have been whoever done that, they should have did their research, too, and know who they was dealing with. Because you don't know who you're dealing with on the other end.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't know. You think that this person just might have been copying or whatever, but you did your research, you might say like, oh, wait a minute. Like, there were two Stevie J's at one point. And there was a DJ Stevie J, from my understanding, right?
Yeah, there's a DJ Stevie J. There's well, I mean, those aren't two DJs. So, but yeah, because there is a DJ Stevie
this
J,
ain't
and then
two
there's
DJs
a
either. This ain't two DJs either. But I hear what you're saying,
but
right?
one person is covering themselves as a DJ. So
Gotcha.
it's not two DJ Stevie J's. There's a DJ Stevie J and there's a Stevie J.
Right.
Which in all retrospect, it's a DJ academics, which is me, and they have academics, which is a blogger, which I have no problem with that. I mean, he is academics. He's academics. He's the blogger. That's him. He's academics. I'm DJ academics.
Right. No, it's a difference. It's a difference, and I hear you on that. I hear you. I hear you. So yeah, man, it's 2021. So you're out of jail now. You're out of Instagram jail. What's going on?
What's going on? I never stopped working. I mean, just keeping things going. I mean, still on radio every day. Still doing parties. Had a great party last night. I mean, looking forward to the world opening back up so I can,
I was just gonna say. So how is that?
Start getting to these schools, start reaching these kids. I'm still doing features, creators of the DMV, highlighting, creators and individuals in the DC, Maryland, and Virginia area, artists, painters, just basically everything outside of like rapping and singing. So basically all types of artistry outside of being a rapper and a singer. So I highlight all those photographers, painters, muralists, clothing designers, all types of different things that are important to the culture that really don't get the shine that those people don't get the shine that they should get and give them their flowers right now. So I'm still, highlighting those people in the community and staying in touch with all of that.
How when it comes to I've been seeing you doing a lot of the digital interviews online. How's that been an experience for you? And who stood out to you so far?
Who stood out to me so far? A fun interview I did. Me and Roddy Rebel. He just came home with GS9. Him and Bobby Smurda just came home, and Roddy was just. I mean, it was just seeing the growth in Roddy Rebel that was like, it was just astonishing. Like his growth and maturation, just as a grown man. Like when they got locked up, I mean, he was still immature, but now like Roddy, the growth in Roddy, the way he speaks, what he understands, and the way he's moving now is great. It's great to see.
How's that? That's interesting, man, that we see that, because I didn't even realize how long it had been, because it's all, the Instagram, social media.
2014.
It can
and they was only hot for 6 months. People don't even forget that. Like they got signed in like July, and all of them got locked up in December.
Yeah, it can make you feel like things, the internet as a space of making things like live forever is my point. Mm. And so I didn't really realize that.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah. But I'm saying for them, that was 6-7 years of their life.
Correct.
Yeah. How you feel about that? How you feel about the Bobby Shmurda and Roddy Rebel coming home and being celebrated? Because you got some that would say that you're celebrating someone who committed a crime and, has done harm to someone else. How you feel about hip hop culture, like celebrating that or whatever?
I mean, I believe it's great for the fact that, I mean, he committed a crime, but he paid his debt to society. He's conscious about what he did, and he basically stood on all 10 toes, and actually took more time so his friend wouldn't get as much time, so they could come home together, because Bobby could have taken less time and Roddy would have ended up having more. So the story is, and I believe I have the facts right, that Roddy actually took a couple extra years to shorten. I mean, Bobby actually took a couple extra years just to shorten Roddy's sentence, which is stand up. I mean, he did what he did. He took his charge like a man. He did his time, and now he comes home, and I believe that should be celebrated. That be commended. I mean, anytime, if you did something wrong, I mean, hey, give me my time. I'm not gonna pull nobody down with me. I mean, I'm gonna take it on the chin, and I'm gonna do what I gotta do, and I'm gonna, circle back when it's my time. And that's what he's doing right now. I mean, as you seen him in the club, like somebody tried to pass him a drink. That guy's still on probation. So he said, oh no. Yeah, 'cause both of them are still on probation till like 2026 though. So they're free, but they're not free. They on that, they on that Meek Mill freedom right now.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's an interesting place to be in. What do you think about? Do you think that they need to verbally say, like, I'm sorry publicly? Like, do they need to say that in order, like everything you said, do they need to say, listen, I apologize for what I've done and everything? Do they need to verbally say that, or we just need to let that ride?
Absolutely not. I mean, I believe they did their time. I mean, they paid the price. They paid the price. You said 7 long years of your life, and you going away at 18, 19 for 7 years. That's a big chunk of your maturity. Like when you mature as a man, and
Yeah,
goes in between that that frame of 18 and 25. So that's when you really start seeing and figuring yourself out. And that these guys had to figure themselves out in a jail cell, and now they're just coming back into a world that's fully changed. That's like gentrified. Like it's not
yeah,
not the same.
yeah,
Brooklyn ain't the same. DC ain't the same. Baltimore ain't the same.
yeah,
Nothing is the same. Social media isn't the same. So it's just I believe they paid their debt to society, and both of them. Well, I mean, I haven't spoken to Bobby, but like I said, I spoke to Roddy, and it seems like they've matured and they understand what they did, and they're just trying to move on with their life and take that next step. And that's what the system is supposed to be about. It's supposed to be rehabilitation, right?
yeah.
Technically, it's supposed to be rehabilitation, right?
Correctional.
Yeah, correctional. Yeah, it's supposed to correct them, right? So they done their time. So technically, they should be corrected, right?
Yeah.
So let them be.
Because so what you say? I'm sorry, the phone went out. What you say? You
No,
said
I
something?
say so. Let them be, and I say let them be until proven otherwise.
Yeah. Now, I was just saying hip hop has always been a strange place because always to those who are on the outside, and even to me, man, as I'm getting older, what we praise and what we don't, and I think the Bobby Shmurda and Roddy Rebel situation for those that, especially the young kids that was loving Tekashi 6ix9ine. And man, my story. I worked with youth for like 10 years or whatever, up until like 2 years ago. And there was a new era of kids that was looking at that situation like, well, isn't he justified for this? Isn't he justified for that? And it does seem like to have Bobby Shmurda come home right after that because it's fresh. You could make that comparison to actually have that conversation with youth and say, listen, here's a scenario where this dude right here had a similar situation, not all the way, but in the streets or whatever, and they took their issue, like you said, they took their punishment like the way they're supposed to take it. You know what I mean? And to your point, you don't necessarily may or may not, depending on who you ask, need that verbal out loud, like, oh, I'm sorry, read like a formal apology. Just the fact of how your actions played, that you didn't go start pointing fingers. Even when you see how Tekashi's acting now, right? Still trying to get attention, still in shade room, dissing people, and it's still going on. You see Bobby Shmurda and Roddy Rebel, they just doing their thing. They just enjoying life because they had years taken from them, even just on how they're moving. So I'm with you on that. You don't necessarily need that. If they are sorry, I hope they are for whatever involvement they may or may not have had.
I absolutely don't think they need to do that. It's not a necessarily don't think
Yeah.
I don't think they should do it at all. I don't think they should. Period.
Well,
I don't think they should even.
some people may feel that way because they're public figures, and that's one reason I say may or may not. Some people may feel that if you're getting all this celebration and you getting all this media press, you need to also verbally express remorse based upon your actions. That's what some may say, and I'm only speaking for those type of voices.
Should the judge express remorse and sentencing me to 7 years?
Not if you did it. Not if you did it.
Okay, but I'm just saying, I paid my debt. All the sorries I did was in the jail cell.
But there's a celebrity aspect to that, though, Ack, is what I'm saying. It's one thing if you're talking about Joe Blow walking down the street, but if you're a celebrity and you're coming out getting this celebrity praise and you're getting this whole media run, some may make that argument that, yeah, you need to also be verbal and be vocal about your redemption and you being sorry about your part that you may have played in that. That's the part that's the part that's a little bit different.
Absolutely not.
I hear you. I'm just saying I understand that side too. I don't necessarily have a dog in the fight because I'm just really just kind of watching how they're moved, and I'm seeing how Bobby and Roddy are moving, and I'm saying that comparison right there enough to how Tekashi has moved. To me, it's something to still look at. Just the action alone.
You can tell by the way they move. Both of them, they're still paranoid as hell. Like they're paranoid. Like they don't want to go back to jail. Neither one of them want to go back to jail. They ain't doing nothing. Like, you can tell by the way they move. Bobby's both of them moving around in bulletproof armored trucks. Shout out to Zoe Dollars because that's my guy and that's his agent. That's his agency, the Bulletproof Armor Chauffeurs, the bulletproof truck. So yeah, shout out to his business if you're in Miami or you're wherever. Holla at my man Zoe Dollars if you need that. But yeah, so I just think they're moving very cautious, and that they they're being smart, and that's one thing that they were not known for back then. They were very reckless.
No, I'm with you. I'm totally with you, man. I'm totally with you. I'm totally with you. I mean, I totally agree with you, man. I mean, that's what brings me back to the Hip Hop Uncovered documentary. Did you watch all of it or just a few? How far did you get to?
I watched all of it.
Yeah, I watched all of it. I don't know about you, but the moment, 10, 15 minutes into the first episode, just the biggest surprise for me was to see Haitian Jack. Because Haitian Jack was like a boogeyman when I was coming up as a kid. Like, I didn't even know if he was real or not. He's like a pronoun, you know what I'm saying? So just to see the brother there, I was like, I remember I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't necessarily take the documentary that serious. Hey, little man, I ain't really take the documentary that serious until I saw Haitian Jack pop up. What's up, little act? You know what I'm saying? So that was, first off, for me, that's what made me sit up straight and started to take notes or whatever. What about for you? What brought you to that point of really paying attention, or would you like that from the jump?
Well, I mean, I like the whole joint, but it was more, I like Bemi's story when, he was with the Supreme Team and how he talked about, Black Just raised 50 Cent, and it just brought it. I just like the connecting of the dots that the whole documentary did. That's more for me. I like the way they connected all the dots.
I did think they were missing one aspect, though, and I think I saw in interviews, maybe on Drink Champs with Big U, I did think that they were missing someone from the South. But Big U said that he reached out to Jay Prince, and apparently Jay Prince is doing his own thing.
He's doing his own thing, but Deb is technically, she's the South. She's both of them.
No,
she's
Queens.
She's from New York. She's Queens, but she has a big imprint in everything in Atlanta.
Yeah, but you needed somebody who was like from there. You needed somebody who was from there. It would have.
You want to like Jay Jeter?
I don't know who that is. Who's Jay Jeter? Maybe I'm tripping.
He's T.I.'s manager. T.I.'s
guy.
Jason
Jeter.
Yeah.
Oh no, Jason Jeter. I'm sorry, I didn't hear your name because yeah. That'd have been a great example. Jeter. If you could have got Jay Prince, you couldn't. But if you could have got Jay Prince, Tony Draper would have been somebody like that from Swab House days. You know what I mean? Somebody who's born and bred from the South would have just completed it for me. Because everybody else was born and bred from where they're from. That's all I'm saying. Just
about Baby.
Huh? Excellent.
Or Baby.
Or if it was about Hip Hop Uncovered, right? Maybe there's somebody in the streets in the South that we don't know, because technically that's what it's supposed to be about. These are people who have been behind the scenes for a very long time. And so it was about bringing them to the front. So maybe it could have been somebody from New Orleans, definitely somebody from Atlanta, considering there's so many people who go to Atlanta and do their thing. But there's some street dudes in Atlanta making that happen too. And I'm saying it would have been nice to see them. Maybe they're all locked up. I don't know. I'm just saying that the documentary, I'm just saying that the doc was missing that homegrown, anybody from the South, Texas, anybody. It could have been Mississippi, any street official person from the South. And I understand they couldn't get Jay Prince, but I would have liked to see somebody there, is all I'm saying. Because they literally cover everything else. I mean, that was the first time I seen a hip hop doc that covered East, West, and Midwest. Like, I've never seen that before in the documentary where they covered Midwest, East, West, you know what I'm saying? And then they went down south, but I just would have liked for them to have someone born and bred. But besides that, though, it was, like I said, what'd you think about when they got to talking about Tupac and Haitian Jack and all
that? He has this, like, you can tell Haitian, he's still hurt. He still has, like, if Pac was, they'd still be beefing right now if Pac was alive. Like, you can tell. Like, he wished Pac was alive right now so they can have a sit down. Like,
he do.
Like, he wants Pac to somehow pop up so they can sit down. He was like, and I'm out the country, and he's in the urban folklore is Pac's in Cuba, but Haitian Jack is in DR.
Right?
Yeah, but Haitian Jack is actually in DR, so they are hot skipping and jumping away. So I'm sure Haitian Jack is like wishing that he could run into Tupac right now. So you can tell he's still bitter. Like that hurt ain't gone nowhere. 25 years and he still feel the same way right now.
What do you say to that when it comes to what Haitian Jack was saying that Tupac wasn't what he was? I was having an argument with a conversation I was having with a friend of mine online who was like, well, you know, Tupac wasn't street, and you know, the more documentaries come out, the more it makes Tupac like a bad light. And I kind of disagree with that because I think that one of the things that played a part into that era was how reckless the media was back then. Kevin Powell, who used to write for Vibe magazine and was on The Real World the first season, you know, excellent writer in hip hop. I remember I saw him on the Beef documentary, and he talked about how a lot of the hip hop journalists at the culture, they were young themselves. So, you know, they were just reckless with their writing because Tupac was screaming at the top of his lungs what thug life meant, but they were only painting him as one image. And they didn't; those artists back then didn't have social media and stuff right there where they can control their own narrative. They really did
the hate you give low influence fucks everybody.
And Rolling Magazine, right? But they really had to depend on these other outlets to get their story right. Versus now, I don't think artists recognize or realize how fortunate they are when they can go on live and tell you how they feel. Can you imagine the Cardi B in the '90s? They would have been misquoting her all day. You know, when it comes to that, and I think that when it came to the Pac scenario, first of all, I like the fact that Haitian Jack kind of called their situation a punk ass case when it was a full-fledged rape case. You know what I'm saying? That let me know the level of gangster he was at. Where you just like, yeah, you know, some punk ass case. I'm like, okay, that was a real serious case. You know what I'm saying? But that lets you know the level that he was on. You know what I mean? Like for him to be able to blow smoke at that like it's nothing, that's a pretty serious thing. And I didn't realize that Tupac was probably one of the first dudes on wax to beef with people that was in the streets, because at that time we didn't know who these guys were, like us who don't live in New York.
Jimmy Henchman, Haitian Jack, like he was the first one to call street dudes out on record.
Yeah, I went back and listened. I'm not gonna lie to you. I heard that Tupac had issues with Jimmy Henchman. I didn't realize that he said it on Machiavelli. I went back and listened. And I was like, oh snap, it's clear as day. I knew Haitian Jack, of course, everybody knew that, but I didn't know they said that was like the first time, man. I mean, was Tupac, when you look back on it, was he out of pocket for that?
He was just mad. I believe he was mad. Like I said, like one thing Haitian Jack did say about Pac that I did kind of agree with and thought. I mean, you still got to take it all with a grain of salt because it's coming from a hurt place. So anything coming from a hurt place, you got to take it with a grain of salt because he clearly is still hurt about the entire situation with Pac. He's clearly so. So I do take it with a grain of salt. But he did say Pac had the perfect name because two Pacs, because it was two Pacs, which was two people, and I think that came across in his music too. It always did. So I think that was a true statement that it was two Pacs. So yeah, because he was always, you know, even if you watch the documentaries, you listen to his music, like he was torn, like from which way to go. Like I could be this way, and Tupac was a Gemini, so it just all wraps into one too. So it's like he was split personality, which could be nowadays they would classify that as bipolar.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So that's how I feel.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. That was the era back then. We wasn't talking about nowhere. We don't even talk about mental health and mental awareness for the past maybe 5-6 years publicly on this stage. But back then, it was a get over it type of situation. And
Today, he would be probably classified as bipolar.
Hands down. I mean, and that's probably the most consistent story I've ever heard of Pac from anyone, whether they like him or not, is for people who knew him say that he had multiple personalities. I mean, you know, Big in the movie said, you know, he was all those things. He was everything that you said. He was everything, good and bad. And I think that is something to be said. And these are real people. You're right. I do think that Haitian Jack was speaking from a hurt place. And just to be clear, not saying hurt like, you know, he's soft or nothing like that. But when somebody,
no, he still has an emotional attachment to the situation.
When you feel betrayed by someone, regardless of what everyone else may feel, when you feel betrayed by someone, that resonates with you. And I understand that totally. You know, there was a situation back at home. There was a guy, homie, I did not F with at all. Like, at all. And when he died, everybody was praising this dude. Everybody around me was praising this dude. And I was sitting back like, no. You know what I'm saying? Because to me, he was a scumbag of the earth. You know what I'm saying? If I just want to keep it a buck. Like, so I understand in a certain realm where H. Jack is coming from, at least on that part, where you feel like you know something about somebody, but this person is loved, and there's nothing you can say about that, and you got to sit on your hands, and you got to really take that. And it's almost like their death makes them a legend.
Yeah, he compared Pac fans to Trump supporters.
Yeah, that was wild right there. That was wild right there.
He was
I
like,
don't
no
know.
matter
I don't
what
know
you
about that
say,
one though.
they
Yeah, I
gonna
don't know
they're gonna
about that one.
believe what they're gonna believe. Like I was like, wow.
Yeah, I don't
It
know
was
about that one, but
hilarious, but
that
it
was
was
wild.
like,
Yeah. The one individual I have to say I was the most impressed by was Deb. I was highly impressed by Deb. Now, Bimmy looked familiar to me, and then I realized I met Bimmy because when he got to talking about LL Cool J, because LL Cool J, when you and I worked at the rail station, LL came to the station, Bimmy was with him. I remember that slightly, unless I'm tripping about it. But
yeah. But I say I've
Deb
seen
was
Bimmy too. I've seen Bimmy on a humble a couple of times
yeah.
throughout the years.
Deb was probably the one I was the most impressed by, like her story. Like I liked how they glossed over the fact that her godfather was probably was a mob figure. They just glossed over that real smooth, like, and how connected Deb was, you know, and even who Deb is now. Like I just got so much respect for her, and her being a woman,
Yeah,
her being in the streets,
and
her
how
holding
deep in the
on to
game
certain
her
codes and
dad
everything like
was.
that.
Like they sugarcoated and airbrushed right past how much like they had so much dope in the house that she put it on as baby powder. Like
Yeah.
their dad was moving, like moving. That's a lot of dope, but it was. And we ain't talking about cocaine. We talking about heroin. So for those that know,
Right.
uh, whew, heroin is lighter. So it's like in order to have a lot of more of that, it costs more in the in the for without saying too much but
Right.
it's a lot.
What do you think about when it comes to them talking about the street codes and how things ran, and when they got to the part where they were on talking about social media and how these kids now in the new era can be gangster online and everything like that? And do you think that the ethics and the codes that they followed, do you think that they ever had any kind of legitimacy? Because when I think about it, I'm gonna walk this really slowly. When you think about the streets as it is, the streets is like you're in there and you're in there with a bunch of lions and tigers and bears, and everybody is doing what they doing to get past. So there is some betrayal. It can be like subjective. You may think you've been holding on to the code and holding on to the honor, but like we just talked about, the Haitian Jack might feel differently. Is that fair to hold that to the standard and try to say, well, these kids now, they don't have no morals and ethics when you're all doing bad? Like, technically, I'd rather have these kids talking trash online than actually killing. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're just going to be online being a troll, that's, for me, that's way better than if you out there killing and dying and all of that. But what do you think about that? You think that there's a way to stake on that? Like, do they have a legitimate argument that in that era, those codes and ethics help you get by, or it really doesn't matter in the first place?
That's a tough one. But I mean, I understand what you're saying about how, it's safer for them to do it that way, the way you said. It's
Mm-hmm.
safer. I won't say it's better because it's still, now in the day it's extra sensitive, cyberbullying, all that other stuff. So it's safer for the internet trolls to be internet trolls, but in the streets, somebody can really, reach out and touch you. So it it made you stand on whatever you said, and now it's just like you can just be in your room
Yeah.
and say whatever you want, and that just continues to grow. And the sad thing about it is that the negative and the buffoonery, it gets more love than authenticity and people
Mm-hmm.
who are really in depth into the craft and really doing it. And I think that's the same. I think that's the same thing, the real street dudes are trying to say, is that the authenticity of it is taken away by that because, just the buffoonery and all the acting, the Spielsbergy and behind the phones and behind the cameras that people can do and then, never be seen from. Like they could be in middle America somewhere and act like they're in the pits of the streets and say and do whatever. And it comes across that way because, if you don't know, you don't know. If you're not around and you really don't understand, I mean, that's why I said wise man says don't argue with fools because people from a distance they can't tell who's who, and people who
Mm-hmm.
really don't know they can't tell if you're acting or not. So and that's the way it comes off. So I think that's the same thing. It's just they're arguing that the authenticity of what they represent is not being carried on. It's not that they're all doing bad or that they're all they're not doing it the right way. It's just they're not authentic. And if you're doing anything, whether it's good or bad, you're supposed to be authentic because let's be honest, there's a craft to just about everything. And when you're in something, you want to respect the craft. Like if I'm hustling, it's a craft to hustling. It's a craft to being a successful hustler. There's a craft to being a successful criminal. There's a craft to being a DJ. There's a craft to being a personality. There's a craft to being everything. So basically what I think they're arguing is the respect for the craft.
Got it.
No, that's a long, drawn out way of getting to the point.
No. I think you made it. I think you touched on it. I think it's something to be said about that. And also back then you had checks and balances. If you act, wild, you stepped out of your square, there was somebody there who would check you and you respected that person. Now there's no checks. Like people can't really check you if you're in your room in Arizona. I can't come find you and really check you. I gotta be a real tech person to locate you, find you, to find out that you're somewhere in Alaska talking trash and to have a conversation with you. That's a lot. Versus back in the day, hip hop was a lot smaller. You were going to run into someone and then you were going to be forced to have a conversation or be held accountable for who you were. And nowadays, you're not going to be necessarily held accountable all the time. You can just
it's all virtual because I can be everywhere and not leave my house
all day. One thing
you can be everywhere and talk about everybody and everything and everywhere and be in your room.
Yeah.
And never leave your room.
I wasn't necessarily feeling, and I've been seeing this pattern. I remember I saw it in the Benzino video interview when he was on Drink Champs, and I saw Bimmy mention it when he talked about his situation with Def Jam. First of all, from the side note, one thing I like about street dudes when they do a documentary, how they can come in and speak very candidly about nothing sometimes. Like they can speak very vague because you can still tell their street, and you got to kind of read in between the lines. And so when Bimmy was talking about his experience with Def Jam and how Kevin Lyles and the other lady, I can't remember her name, unfortunately, at this time, how they did him at Def Jam, he was like, in the streets, the consequences are a lot more. They college dudes, they college kids. They don't get it. And sometimes, man, I hear this narrative about people who are in college as if they don't know the streets. And I'm like, no, the people who did you like that, that's because they didn't do that because they went to college. They were already who they were. They were already cowards. Or they were already someone who didn't stand by their word. The industry gives them a reason to perform the way they were. But when I was in school and you was in school or whatever, there was definitely street dudes who came from the streets and found their way in school. There was definitely, for their tuition through means of the streets, you know what I'm saying? Or some of them who came from families that were, like you said, like a Dev Anthony, like Dev's family that came from drug families, their families were paying for their school through the streets. You know what I mean? So those people do exist in there. And not just something I just like to point out when I see that is like, no, someone not holding on to their word, that's because that's who their character is. That's who their character is. Now they understand that the consequences ain't the street. That's why they're doing it. You know what I mean? Like, just like you got some people in the streets, because you always had people who held. Social media just gave people better tools to be cowards, but you always had that person, Act. We talk about this all the time offline. You always had that person who would talk mad trash from afar, even if that dude on your block who had 6 brothers and sisters, and they were all in the streets. He really wasn't in the streets, but his brothers and sisters in the streets, so he was able to talk the most reckless trash. It's just that social media just gave people more tools and platforms to do that on. So cowards and people who wasn't on their word, that's always existed. It just advanced with the technology.
It's just they're less reachable now.
That's what it is. It's less reachable.
They are less reachable.
Yeah. Versus me going through your 6 brothers and sisters, now I gotta go through 1 million people online and stuff like that. It's not the same thing. But yeah. That's cool, man. That's I think that doc was something that was needed. I mean, much respect to Big U. It is interesting to hear people that you've been hearing in shout outs, because hip hop don't do shout outs no more. And when Big U talked about how Corrupt shouted him out, I was like, I remember that song. Like when people used to be shouting out random people that you didn't know who they were. So shout out to
well, Nipsey did. Nipsey just shouted him out not too long ago.
Well, that's what I mean. I'm saying you don't hear it as often. Nipsey was also a street dude. You know what I'm saying? You don't hear it as often is all I'm saying. Now people don't really shout out. That used to be a hip hop thing where people would shout out like 12 people. You had no idea who they were. That used to be a real thing back in the day. So shout out to, to Big U and all of them for putting that together. and I'd like to see more from it. You know what I mean? I would like to see next chapters of it. I mean, shout out to them having Trick.
Well,
That
they
was the
said
first
it's
time I
gonna
ever
be a
saw
different. It's gonna be
you go to
another one. They're
Detroit.
gonna do it again. Yeah, they're
I
doing it
hope so,
again.
man. You know, I was loving the fact that they went, you know, to my hometown, and I was hurt when they got to talking about Proof, because you know that still sits, you know, that still sits a bad place within me when I hear about the story of Proof, man, because it was just something that I just feel like just should not happen, you know, man. But they had to
And
talk about the
another
consequences. I
thing you
think they
got to
don't talk
watch. I
about the
don't know if you've
consequences
seen
of it.
it. I said another thing you got to watch. I don't know if you got a chance to see it. It's probably one of my favorite rappers ever. I mean, just period. But I believe he also has like one of the best shows. I'm talking about Nori, the Drink Champs. Like all of them did the Drink Champs interview. And
I watched it. Yeah, it was dope.
you watched the Drink Champs, okay, Drink Champs was great. They actually went into
Yeah, it was
detail
dope.
on
It
a
was
lot.
good.
And, you know, Nori got a lot out of them. I think Nori has probably the best show hands down. Period. So shout out to
No, no,
Nori.
no. It was no. Yeah, some of my responses were to that. Yeah, Drink Champs, they was on there. It was good. That's why I said I respect Deb. Every time Deb talks, I'm respecting her even more. You know what I mean? Because that's really who she is. You know, I'm respecting her even more, man. So nah,
Mm-hmm.
it was dope, man. Yo, man. So let's us also, man. Let's before we close out, let's talk about the stimi money bag Joe. How you feel about that stimi check,
Well,
man?
I still ain't
You
got
think it's
mine
gonna be
yet.
popping out
So
here?
I mean, it's definitely gonna be popping. I mean, I still ain't got mine yet, but I mean, I'm happy. I gotta I gotta file some paper. I think I gotta file my taxes because you don't file your taxes, you don't get it.
Yeah, they want you to file your taxes for
I was
2021,
Yeah, I was
right?
lacking last year. I was lacking last year. I ain't filed my taxes last year, but I'm about to file them for last year and this past year. So, yeah, you gotta file your taxes before they hit your account. So I gotta file mine. So hopefully I get my stimmy in the next couple of weeks, and I'm gonna go get that zebra I was looking at.
Hey man, how you think it's gonna how you think as a DJ has been affecting everything as far as being back open? Because I know last time you and I talked about this, you were DJing like in Virginia and in Maryland, but some of the major cities like DC and stuff like that had opened up yet. How you feeling about the whole open up and being vaccinated and everything?
Well, I mean, DC still ain't open. I mean, it's still shut down, but it's slowly
They
picking
have a
back
certain
up. I mean,
capacity. They have a certain capacity, man. Because I know some people who drove past some spots and they definitely saw some people inside.
well, no, because here's no DC is technically they're open, like the restaurants and everything can stay open till midnight, but there's no live entertainment. So you can't have DJs, you can't have bands, none of that.
Okay.
So there's no live entertainment in DC. So DC is technically shut down for us until they change that part.
Okay.
So because they took away live entertainment in DC. So that's why I say DC is still shut down.
Okay. Got you.
Yeah, you can't have DJs in DC. So,
Okay.
but
How
you
you?
know, Mary Bowser, she lost a sister, so you kind of understand why she's been so hard on COVID because her sister died from COVID.
I didn't
So
know
you
that she lost a
understand it,
sister.
yeah.
I know
So
she
you
lost somebody. I
you
know she lost somebody in her cabinet. I mean, in her administration. I know she lost a sister.
and she lost her sister, but yeah. So I understand why she's been so tough, and as she should. I mean, this this pandemic, there's like no right or wrong answer. So you can't blame somebody for going one way. You can't blame somebody for going the other way. So it just goes to show like it just nobody really knows what move to make, and everybody's being extra cautious. And you can't really, you can't say nobody's right or wrong.
How you feel about the vaccine?
How I feel about the vaccine? I mean, like honestly, just give me the shit and let me go and do what I gotta do. I got. I mean, that's just me. That's just me personally. I mean, I got shit to do. So I mean, give me my shot in the arm so I can get on this plane and go get this bread.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I ain't really. I don't really have a conspiracy theory. I just like I said, I got shit to do. So just give me my shot in the arm. Let me go. I got to go here, there, and I don't want to be worried about nothing crazy.
Yeah,
So
the one thing that I say to people, man, is that you know where I live. I'm in the hood, man. I've been seeing more white people in the hood lately because they've been at these urgent cares, they've been at these pharmacies getting their shots. White people be coming all in the hood getting it in droves, and so I understand our concern because of our history, but people are taking advantage of our mistrust. and they are skipping in line. I have
Yeah, I mean, the statistics are it's been like 70-30. More white people have been getting
yeah,
the vaccine. So if
yeah,
they trying to kill somebody, they killing the wrong ones. So
exactly, exactly. And I like, I got the first shot. I have to wait 2 more. Yeah, 1 week. You had to wait 3. I had to wait 3. I had to wait 3 weeks for the second one. So I'm about 2 weeks in to for my second one. But I got the first one. And my arm was just a little bit sore. That was about it. For that experience. But when I went, bro, when I tell you, it was mad white people in that joint when I went. Like, I'm talking about in droves. Like, it was some black people there, but man, the white people were just. It was more black people that were like workers who were giving us a shot. But overall, man, them white folks was there. And they were in the hood. I went to Southeast. They were there.
well,
So
I need to get mine so I can get up. I can get up out of here because I'm outside this summer.
you like Atlanta? You gonna be wide open?
I'm outside. Whoa, pause. I'm wide open. I'm not wide open, but I'm outside.
I can't, yo. I can't. How do you think this is going to affect the Versus? Because Triller Network had bought Versus from Timbaland and Swiss Beats. Do you think we'll still be the things that we created while we were on lockdown? When we open back up, are we still going to be investing in those things? Like, are we still going to be watching Versus and things of that nature?
I think it'll become, yeah, I think we will because it's still, a celebration of 2 artists, whether it continues to be on Instagram or not. But it's still gonna be what it is because you're putting these 2 artists in the same place and they're celebrating their music and going back and forth on these catalogs. And I believe it's always gonna be a place for stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because we're always gonna want to see our favorite artists, next to each other.
Yeah.
It's like seeing your favorite basketball players like go head to head. It's just like that's something that demand is never gonna go away.
No, it's not, man. It's not. I mean, I think when I was on my trap sabbatical, that was when Keisha Cole and Ashanti was doing theirs, whatever. I didn't get a chance to check that one out, but all the ones before that, I was rocking with. But when I was on my sabbatical, I was chilling in the middle of nowhere with nothing. So it was just me and 400 something plus acres of nothingness. So that's where I was. But yeah, I do think that it has become something bigger than us just not having nothing to do. You're right. It is a celebration of legends. And you can never run out of celebrating legends. You can never run out of that. We need to give people flowers while they're alive. I mean, I would never thought I would have saw Patti LaBelle and Gladys Knight, coming from Swiss Beats and Timbaland, just playing their music on live. Like, I would never thought I would have saw that growth from that. So I'm interested to see how far I can go, even to the point when we open back up, man. Maybe we can have actual full-fledged concerts about it. Maybe there can actually be shows about it that we can all see live.
I think there will. I mean, anytime a podcast can be in front of a live audience, I think there's a place for Versus to be in front of a live audience.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm with you on that, man. I'm with you. Yeah, man. Well, before we get up out of here, man, a couple shout outs, man. Shout out to, while we was gone for a minute, but recently Cardi B celebrated Bodak Yellow going diamond, which is a big deal. So I think
absolutely first female rap artist
right?
with a diamond record.
With a diamond
and
single.
she's also one of the first female. She's the fastest to go 5 times platinum with WAP. And these both are right on the heels of each other.
Yeah. Yeah, she went diamond. She's the first person to go diamond with a song. Well, first female rapper to go diamond with a song. So shout out to her on that. That's a big freaking deal. That's not easy. And so much has changed in Cardi B's life since Bodak.
I think the last hip hop song to go diamond was Trap Queen. So that tells you that don't happen every day.
No, it doesn't happen, man. And even tonight, I'm not sure she's gonna be there, but a lot of people on Twitter have been pushing and hoping that Freddie Gibbs get the Grammys tonight. Get his Grammy tonight because Freddie Gibbs got nominated. If you'd have told me 10 years ago Freddie Gibbs been nominated for a Grammy, I would have slapped you because I just wouldn't have believed it. But I do think
you can slap me if he wins because I don't think he's gonna. You know what's gonna happen. It's the Grammys. But yeah, that's the Weeknd's boycotting the Grammys because he feels like they did him dirty. And Beyonce just said she ain't going, and the Grammys was mad because she said she wasn't. She was out and said she wasn't supporting it. Well, not supporting. She's not performing. She's too gracious to, put herself out there like that and say she's not supporting it.
AKA, it ain't safe to me out here performing for y'all ninjas. I ain't out here performing for y'all ninjas right now. It ain't safe yet. We ain't there yet. I mean, Moneybag Joe, President Joe Biden said that he's hoping that we get back to some sort of normalcy by July 4th. get it, Independence, July 4th. He's hoping that we get to that. That don't mean we'll be there yet. So I don't blame
I
him. You know
think
what I'm
we
saying?
will. I think we will Memorial Day. Well, I think our region, DC, Maryland, Virginia, will be fully open Memorial Day.
Because we've been wearing masks.
Yeah, I mean the mask mandate is gonna be there. I say till the end of summer, till Labor Day. You know, once everybody has been, you know, the majority of the, you know, all the citizens have been vaccinated, and you know, the rates are close to nothing. So that's when I think they'll get rid of the mask thing.
Yeah. But if you Beyonce, you can afford to sit on your hands and say everything is completely okay. You can do that. Because you Beyonce. She don't got to show up regardless. So it's totally fine. Yeah, I totally get it. All right, bro. It was good, man. You know what I mean? Anything that's coming up that we need to be aware of? What's up with Impact TV and everything like that?
Still moving on IG channel, it's Impact TV, YouTube, it's Impact TV. All my interviews with all my artists and all your favorite artists are right there. So go ahead and check that out. Like I said, that Roddy Rebel interview is up, and so a whole bunch of other stuff up there you can check out as well.
Right. And make sure you can check out my stuff on Walks and Chews Bubblegum. I'm still writing for AURN and putting out content. We actually just did a video on the YouTube of AURN Online about Black film school students. And I talked to Mariah Jarame, who is the director of the movie that came out last year called Residue, him and two other Black film directors. So that was a good discussion and, you know, conversation we had. You can also check the link in my bio if you want to check that out, man. You know, good Black creatives coming together and having a good, healthy dialogue about a lot of things too. So you can check that out. Also, big shout out to everybody that's been hitting me up when I was on the Good Girl podcast about my article that I wrote called Confessions of a Former F-Boy. And a lot of people was hitting me up when me and the girl Cameo King, Cameo who's real dope. She's a fellow 313 also, and she's a fellow Bison, but she reached out to me, and I much appreciate to her and the homie Rika, who had me on her Single You podcast. I was on there talking about the same article, you know, two different perspectives. So big shout out to both of them for having me on a platform, man, to be able to have these kind of dialogues. So, you know, big up to them. You can also check that out, the link in my bio too, at Jhallsociety. But, you know, that's about it, bro. You know, me and you will talk soon. And, you know, you be safe, man. Tell Lil Ack I said hi. So you've been pushing him up this whole time, but tell little man we say hi, man, and give everybody my best, brother, and you continue to do what you do.
All right, same to you, bro.
All right, my G, be easy, man.
All right.
Right.